Hello. Let's get this chat working. Excellent. Well, what an action-packed summer we've had so far with sport, and there's still more to come. So amazing already. Anyway, take these shades off now because it's too hot to sweaty to have stuff on. But yeah, no, we've had an amazing summer of sport so far. Not just here in the UK, but worldwide. I mean, we've had we've had the football. We've had tennis. We've had a lot, and we've had the F1 so far. We've got more to come. We've had a reasonable World Cup. No transfer window and stuff like that. Hello. We've had NHL. We've had NBA. It's been a really. Well, I'm gonna actually write all this stuff down again, but it's been a really interesting summer of sports so far. It's been, and there's still more to come, and there's still more to discuss, and I'm interested to see what questions you guys have, because from what I've seen and the way sport has evolved and the way, I mean, you got to look at the Football World Cup. You got to look at the fact they've used VAR. You've got to look at the fact that it was used in the final, and whether it was a contributing fact to France winning and Croatia losing, or whether it should have been a penalty or not, is a debating point, and that's what this channel is about. So we can discuss VAR. We really can look at, what VAR is. I mean, has it worked? I would say 90% success rate. We can go, what can we change with it? So, I don't know, time taken for seriously. That's where I think it's hitting hurdles, and that's where I think it needs to speed up, get better, and then you might, I don't know, helps with the flow of the game. So there we go. Paces Friday. What happened Friday? What happened Friday sports-wise? Trying to work out what happened Friday. Really annoying. I know there's been some cricket on. Trying to work out what happened Friday sports-wise now. You have to remind me what sport day is, because there's been a lot. Well, I've had a hectic week. Let's keep it like that. I've had a drunken hectic week, and I'm trying to work out what sport that is. But that's an interesting one. I have to think what happened Friday in the sports world. And I really can't be bothered to get my phone, because that's just something I don't want to lean across to do. It's charging. But sports so far, the NBA, right? I mean, you could debate whether why North American sports go with the draft system and why European sports don't. That's something that has come up before, and questions that have been asked is about the draft system. Now, I mean, I can't spell again. God, I'm turning into a fucking inbred here. Got to learn how to spell better. The draft system. Now, in the draft system, the North American sports, they have it, and the European sports don't. And the key difference is, in Europe, with sports clubs, they develop the player from youth level all the way up to senior professional. Whereas in North America, they develop them through either the collegiate system or junior ranks, and then the professional teams come in later on and give them the big money contracts. I have no idea why the American system's gone that way and why the European system's gone the way we have, but it's two different sporting cultures. And so when North Americans are watching European sport or European leagues, it, we are at pains to remind them about, the difference. It, it's a different sporting culture. I have no idea why, for some reason, the draft system suits the American sporting culture and doesn't suit the European sporting culture. Um, and there's only one professional team in North America that doesn't use a draft system, and that is in rugby league. And they're a young team, so they've only been going a couple of years, and that is the Toronto Wolfpack. These guys, these guys are the only professional sports team in North America that doesn't use a draft system, and it's the only professional sports team in North America involved in uh, what we would have really got a relegation promotion system. Now, that's something that's very interesting as well. It's something that North American sports do not have. They've never had. They've always had this draft franchise system. European sports have a club where the league writes the rules, and there's a promotion relegation system. So that's an interesting talking point. So I'm still learning about the draft system because each league's draft system is different in North America. Well, here's the thing: I don't follow the NBA, so I'm not gonna say that getting a young up and coming star player from the draft system is a bad thing. I'm not a big fan of the NBA. I played basketball at school and I didn't enjoy it, and I've got to be able to either enjoy watching or playing the sport to be into it. But it is interesting that the highlight of the off season for American and Canadian sports fans is the draft system. Now, for Europeans, we have all these international tournaments in the summer. So you've got the World Cup we've just had. Obviously, you call it soccer, we call it football. We've got the tennis open, such as the French Open and Wimbledon. And there's lots of motorsport going on as well, something that we have North Americans like IndyCar and NASCAR and motocross. Over in Europe, we have a more variety of motorsports. But the big thing that is the difference. So here's North America. And we'll draw a line. And here's Europe. Okay, here's the differences. Off season. Okay, we'll call it off. So depending on what sport you follow in North America and what sport you follow in Europe, we have a thing called, well, that's mostly a soccer term, but also refers to rugby union, rugby league. We have that. You have trades, and I would say free agency. That's big. I know that's big. I know free agency is big, and I've done a few NHL videos on free agency, and I think how it's not as important in a salary cap system, but you got that, and then you've got no. That's your big one. Now, obviously, a lot of the kids you draft are 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. They're not going to be on the first team sheet for a while. This is where our systems are different. Tournaments. We in our off season we focus more on the tournaments, so the World Cup, be it rugby union, rugby league, cricket, what you would call soccer, what we call football, the tennis opens. We're more interested in that in the off season. When it comes to league sports, we're all more interested in that. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the North American system, with the European system. In the off season, you've got the transfer market and tournaments, and that is a massive, massive. Yes, the mullet is gone. Yes, thank you, Mike. Well, that's the difference. So when you're talking about trades, free agency, and draft, yes, I will follow the trade market. Yes, I will follow free agency, and I will follow the draft, especially the draft with Liam Kirk, the young ice hockey player from the UK. I have followed the NHL draft more seriously this year than any other year since I can remember. But here's the differences. And because we have, I don't know, motorsport's different because, you know, a lot of the European Grand Prix take place in summer in the F1, MotoGP, Superbikes. NASCAR has some big events. The AMA Motocross, the IndyCar. So there's your prime differences what Europe and North America do in the off season. Now, other differences. Let's just do a second level. Sport differences. Okay. Cap. Salary cap. That's a big thing, and that's been discussed before. Should some more European sports go down that system? But that system only works if you include a draft. Over here, we have a youth. Oh shit! I really can't. That's better. I can't spell at the moment. That's the differences in the style of sport. Is yours are all salary cap based. Our bigger sports, the youth come through the sports clubs. It's franchise. So you've got franchises on this side and club. So on this side. That's where there's a lot of differences in the North American and the European sport structures. And I understand what you're saying about Aaron Holiday. Personally, like I don't follow the NBA. It's not a sport. Basketball is not a sport that I enjoy watching. I mean, I will casually watch it, but I'm not a hardcore fan. I know who LeBron James is. I know who Michael Jordan is, but it's not a sport that I enjoy. And that's my personal opinion. I'm not saying it's a bad sport. I'm not saying it's the worst sport in the world. I think the way the sport is governed by the NBA and the way that the clubs are happy, if the franchise teams are happy to buy into the salary cap, the fact the players are willing to buy into the salary cap, and the fact that they've had no industrial disputes between the players and the league is something that the NHL, Major League Baseball, and possibly the NFL with the new rule with the NFL Players Union not being happy with the kneeling and the anthem rule being put in, where the players can get and the owners can get fined. It's a power struggle in those sports between the players and the owners, and it's greedy people want to get greedier. But yes, Mike, the mullet has gone. The mullet has died an epic death. God. The mullet died yesterday at 11:30 in the morning. It is sad. I'm mourning, but no, the mullet had to go. I start my new job tomorrow morning, and I'll be working like a really fiddly job with a lot of I can't have long hair because it's just going to get in the way. So it's gone. Cricket, of course, I'm a fan of cricket. If you watch I know you're a regular subscriber. There just hasn't really been that what I would call cricketing stories that I think are big for me to report. The one day series, it's 1-1. It India were booed for their slow run rate. I don't think that's fair. I think you go out to play the game with your tactics to frustrate the opposition and win and do your best. Personally, I love Test cricket. I love all formats equally. If all it needs is more free-to-air viewership, because the way that the sport in the UK at least is run is not great. And with the World Cup next year, it's going to be mostly on subscription TV. And a lot of young kids who otherwise wouldn't watch the sport or pick up the sport are being denied the opportunity to watch the sport. Personally, the first cricket formats I watched was Test cricket. The first cricket match I went to was Test cricket. But the first match I ever went to was at Lords, so that's an induction into the sport. And I watched the whole day's Test play. So For me, I was brought up on Test cricket. I don't get me wrong. I love one days and T20s as well. It's a different style of play. I think cricket's the only sport where you can have three different length formats, the same sport with the same basic rules. But there are issues within the game that we could look at in a separate video that may take an hour in itself. And I don't think any non-cricket fan on this channel wants to sit through me of an hour of me going on about an hour of how much I think this sport should change and where they should change it. What cricket needs to do in this country, and I think around the world, is more easily accessible on TV and free streams, free to air TV, free streaming on internet, because that's what fans want. And for some reason, the ECB doesn't want to give the fans what they want. They want to piss off the fans as much as possible. But it's an interesting question. It's my fourth favourite sport. If you watch my top five favourite sports, it gets in number 4. And now with the whiteboard, I can do my further videos on my favourite players and the brief look at their careers more, because that takes a lot of research, and having a little pen and paper is just, don't cut it no more. I need a bit more stuff that I can work with. So fear not, there will be some player profiles of players that I grew up watching coming soon. So that's something to look at. But as Mike is obviously now in the chat, we can discuss with Mike, if Mike wants something, if anyone else has got any questions about the use, the success or the failures of VAR at the World Cup. So VAR, success, and failures, because this is where I think this topic is a debating point, because of the World Cup final we've just had and the use of VAR in it. That's a debating point we can have. Obviously, most sports now do have some kind of video official. Football, for some reason, has waited a very long time, and considering that the technology has been there for 20 years plus, it surprises me that FIFA waited this long to. Right, okay, so failures. Okay, you said it. Okay, consistency. So we could put that on 50-50. I could put consistency. I'm going to put consistency in the failures section. I have seen that raised before where they're not consistent enough. I will put that as a failure. For me, the success rate is it's 90% accuracy. And that's something that's been brought up by the media, the pundits, the experts. It's roughly 90% accurate. That's something I've noticed. Okay, so again, comes back to the consistency. Now, this is where I think the rule book itself will need to change. And the fact that someone who's not really a football fan is also commentating, is more of a cricket fan, is interesting because of what it is. So now we have to look at what it is. I think the failure is also the time taken on review. Oh, I'm not going to fit review in. Yes, I am. There we go. The time. Oh God, I've got to wipe that out. That's time taken reviewing. That's it. We'll get that in there. Time taken to review. In the statement released when they said we're having VAR at this tournament, they wanted to get decisions down to about a minute and a half. Today's penalty review, 4 minutes between him listening to his earpiece and the penalty being taken. It's too long. And I think it was a turning point in the game. And it was a 50-50 decision. That's part of the issue. On this side of it, yeah, it's accurate. Any other, I want to hear from you guys what other successes you think it's had and failures. So consistency, we can put in the failures column, because there have been some other ones that haven't been given, that if that's a normal league game without VAR, it's a 50-50. I'm going to put consistency under failures personally, but I understand where and for someone who reviews solely football, Mike, you've put down that you don't think it was, and that is an agreement with most people. But look, it's been accurate most of the time. There's been one or two misses, so the holding in the box not consistent on that, and that's where I put the consistency. Yes. I'm surprised it's taken this long though for VAR to even be trialled at a major tournament. I think they should have tried it last year at the Confederations Cup, which is the warm-up tournament for the World Cup. Um, I think that's one of the failures. Um, you know, uh, it's the time taken to implement. And I mean that. I think the time taken to implement it is a failure on FIFA's part. Not trialing VAR a lot sooner or allowing technology to be used a lot sooner, I think has been a bad image of the sport. And that's my personal opinion on the failing side. And there seems more failures than actual successes. But here's the thing: it's the first tournament. They have to learn with the consistency, the time taken, and and to actually implement the VAR. Well, this is technically what a third. This is technically the third umpire of football. The third umpire, okay, right. We've discussed basically there's more failures than successes, even though I think the success outweighs the failures. The third umpire in cricket is used. It has a remit that is clear and obvious. So it's the third umpire. Um, is used for slumpings and runouts. That's basically its remit. Is that? That's why it works so well. Is it's got a very limited part of the game to look at. There are a few other things it can look at, but that's what the third umpire in cricket. That's what it looks at basically, and that's why it works so well. It's got a very limited remit in what it can look at. So um, that's why that works. If you want to look at, like, let's say rugby league, rugby union, their remits are always evolving, but that they are there to assist the officials in case they miss anything. That's why the third umpire is such an important thing in cricket. Is its limit is a small remit, and the speed of the game when a throw is coming in and guys running at the stumps, you've got a split second. You go to the third umpire. Even if the guy is a mile in or a mile out, it's always good to double check. And it doesn't hold up the game very long. It works. I think you know VAR is a big one. It's already becoming a talking point because of the World Cup final and because of this tournament in general. But you know, video refs, I'm going to use, and we'll call the third umpire a video ref because he does look at replays and he does. They're now used in, well, they're used in both codes of rugby. Let's get that up there, right? And I'm going to put league as the same because they basically, this sport is the reason why video officials are so well used today, is because of these two. And of course, you've got ice hockey, and yes, cricket. Yeah, they are in there. And I'm using team sports more than anything. Um, and yes, these sports led the way for the World Cup, and the way that they did take time, and they allowed the systems to be tweaked, and they allowed the criticism to come. They didn't just chuck it in. The reason why the VAR's worked at this World Cup so well, to a point. I mean, there's still issues with it. There's improvements to be made, but it's got a solid foundation. They used it for every game at the tournament. The FA Cup, right? When they used it in the FA Cup, they only used it when the Premier League team at home and the semis, the final. That's why it was so badly implemented. Is they used it in one competition that is competitive. They should have done it in friendlies, and only the Premier League teams who were at home, those games were the ones that had the benefit of the VAR. Whereas if you want to go to the Bundesliga, every game they used it throughout the whole league. The A League had a failure in a final, and FIFA would have looked at that. So the Australian A-League final had a failure. So you have to look at it in the sense that the sports that I outlined were the trailblazers for using video officials. They keep learning from the mistakes the system makes because it's still a human-based system. And rule books have been adapted because of what's been found out with video officiating. So the way forward with the handball call, whether it was or wasn't, is the rule book needs to update it. The rule book would have to be updated to suit the sport and to suit what's changed. Now, I don't want to spend the entire time talking about VAR, but it is a massive talking point. And if it's having a massive effect on this live stream and the questions that you guys are asking me, obviously the same thing is going to be happening, not just on YouTube, but on Twitter, to various media outlets. It's going to become a debating point on quiz shows. It's going to become a debating point in the mainstream press, the independent sports website. It's already becoming a talking point. The World Cup finished an hour ago. There was a lot of people who were writing off and dismissing it as a gimmick from FIFA. No, it's here to stay. Other sports have implemented it far better at league level, in competitive domestic sport, and at international level. So I think it's time that FIFA pumps some money into some domestic leagues, because a lot of the domestic leagues are not doing it in the right way. There's enough money floating around football; they can afford it. It's up to the federations and the world game to assist clubs better and leagues better, because there's so much going wrong with football. There's enough money floating around. Instead of overpaying players and expensive transfers, actually pump it into the governance of the game and the grassroots. That's my personal opinion. We could debate that to death. My views on the amount of money in the sport right now, and is it good or bad? We could, but for the moment, we've got to say, look, best World Cup, goals per game average up. Only one goalless draw, so that's got to be a positive. There's almost been a goal every game. Only one game didn't have a goal in it. And then if you want to talk about, other sports and some of the stories going on there, you got to look at, his first major in 2 years. He hasn't won a major open in 2 years, so that's that. We could discuss Novak Djokovic winning his I think his fourth. Is it his fourth Wimbledon title or his third? Maybe not as good as Federer and Nadal for the amount of open titles he's won, but he's not won a major for 4 years. We could talk about next week, Jordan Spieth trying to defend the Open in golf. That's something that we could talk about. And yes, we do get all the international football tournaments in the UK on free to air, which is, I think, the way it should stay. I don't think subscription sport should get, or subscription TV should take that away, because you get the casual fanning. And what is it? 2 TV records being broken in the UK for almost half the population watched the quarter-final win against Sweden. I think it was 32 million watched England Sweden. We had, which is half the UK population, we had 26.1 million watched Colombia England penalty shootout, just the penalty shootout. So the casual fan is more accessible to watch the game. And there's 18 million households, which is a third of UK households, do not have pay-per-view sport. So yeah, free to air has to remain. Yeah, no, there's a reason. The ECB are gutless. There is some more free to air, like cricket, coming back to TV, but sod Sky. I refuse to get Sky. I know I'm going to miss out on a lot of cricket action, and I'm only going to be able to catch the highlights spots on Channel 5. but I refuse to give Murdoch any more bloody money. I don't buy his newspapers. I don't buy any of his publications. And to be honest, I'm happy for it. I think the ECB have made a massive error of judgment this World Cup. The Rugby Union World Cup next year is on ITV and has been since, I believe, the 90s, maybe 2003. I think it went to ITV. I think before then it was shared with BBC and ITV. So cricket's killing itself. Poor governance, killing itself. And we can discuss why. And a lot of young people think cricket's boring. It isn't. But because they're not exposed to it anymore, they assume it's an elitist sport, which it's not. Because you've got to look at some of the great English players who didn't go to boarding school, who went to state school, who played. And you've got to look at, the issues with the game now. I think India are going to smash England in the Test series. I'm not holding back on that. I think next month India are going to annihilate England. They showed in the T20, how off the pace we are. We didn't do well in the first one day. Yes, MS Dhoni got booed for a slow run rate, but here's the thing: MS Dhoni is more of a test player who can play some exciting shots and can be useful in short bursts when it comes to short formats of the game. But yeah, the Optus, Optus, in Australia, it's not just they can. I've got Australian subscribers who do say the Optus thing was a complete and utter farce, didn't work properly, and viewers refused to be ripped off for poor service, and they basically were protesting about it and threatening to sue the company for the poor service they signed up for. So they panicked and they realised, when it comes to international tournaments, you put it on free to air. I'm sorry, you get more viewers, and if it's a commercial station, which most of them are, I think BBC will end up being that, they get so much ad hit for that as well. If 30 odd million people, or 25 to 30 million people, watch two of England's knockout games, I think the Croatia semi-final, that could be even higher. If you're breaking viewership records that haven't been broken and stood for a long time for one sporting event, it makes sense to have it free, because the cricket viewership on Sky is plummeting. BT Sport's dead in the water. The only reason why BT Sport continues is because the mobile phone and internet networks that BT are own prop it up. So he is a good T20 player, but here's the thing: he's actually better suited to Test cricket. He can play all formats. He's the ultimate all-round player. But I think, but he's played IPL since the inception. He's been there constantly. He hasn't been injured. He is a consistent player. He's a consistent scorer. He is near the end of his career now. He's not as young as he used to be. And I think that's got to be a game plan from the Indians is to stick around at a sticky period. Now, I think it's wrong to boo a player. There is a game plan in that Indian side. They would have gone out, right, just don't get out stupid. We're having a bit of a wobble, stick around. And that's what he was doing. He doesn't play well. He can't play well every game. He may not be feeling that confident batting that day and doesn't want to get out and just wants to stick around. Sometimes a player is a confidence player. Now, Dhoni is one of the best all-round wicket keepers I've seen for batting and his wicket keeping ability, and the fact he's been a captain. He's one of the best at playing all formats of the game. One of the best. He'll get in when he retires. He's probably getting into one of my favourite cricketers list, which is getting longer by the day because AB de Villiers is now retired, so he's going to go into my favourite cricketing Hall of Fame. Dhoni will get in there. I think you've got to look at the context of the match and when that run rate collapsed and got slow. And at the end of the day, you've just won a T20 series, which is even shorter format of 1 day. It's just half length for 1 day, and you're looking good for the Test series. I do not understand why cricket fans want to boo, because if that was Paul Collingwood and that's 2005, you wanted to do that against Australia. So it just shows how fickle and clueless some sports fans are. And it shows what money's done for sport, because some of these big earning players are demanded to entertain the fans constantly. They're not going to play well every game. Even the greatest players in any sport have had that one-off game, or haven't played well, haven't had the best tournament or the best form. It happens to every top-level sportsman, be it if you're in an individual sport like tennis or in a team sport like football, rugby, cricket, ice hockey. It happens. Even the best players have off nights where they don't look 100%. They're not really in the zone. It happens. it just shows how fickle some sports fans are. I think that's very disrespectful for the crowd. It shows with the issues with Sky, well, so subscription TV getting the rights to cricket in the UK, how uneducated a lot of them. It just shows how ignorant some fans are. Personally, for me, because the reason I think that is the case is less people are able to watch the game because they put it behind a paywall, and that's why I think there's more of this. Oh, they're paid stupid money. Yeah, they are paid a lot more than they were 10, 20, 30 years ago. But they are human beings, and I think they are allowed to have that one bad day, personally. Because at the end of the day, yes, he's got, 10,000 ODI runs. If he plays quick and he gets, a big score, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he plays slow to get it or quick to get it. The fact he's done it just shows how good he is. And I think booing him, not even for reaching that personal milestone, but he may not have been feeling the most confident in his batting that day. He might have had a knock in the field. This is where these fans are so clueless sometimes and so disrespectful and not educated enough. And part of the problem is this. And this is part of the problem. That's what's actually causing a lot of people to be less satisfied and less happy with sport right now. That they're losing the casual fan that become the hardcore fan. They're forcing kids. Kids aren't getting the exposure they were 10, 20 years ago to top level sport, and it's because of that, and it's because of this company. They are the enemy of sport. Enemy of sport, in my eyes. What has happened to sports since Sky got all the rights is a disgrace. The players, some players are overpaid. We'll admit that. We can go on about that till kingdom come. And this guy, this scumbag, and I'm not holding back. That guy. Seriously, if he wants to pull the plug, European sport as we know it is on its knees financially. He could pull the plug anytime. He could quite literally cripple and destroy so many sports that are reliant on the TV money. But here's the thing, with this falling, that's happening, and so is this. And that's happening. Because of that, that's happening and that's happening. And it's getting worse. So you can debate that. I mean, Mike will probably answer the question on one of his live streams, but I would say subscription TV, that bloody company, that arsehole of a man, is what's causing that. And it's causing kids to miss out. It's causing the casual fan to miss out. And that prospective customer, fan, who may become hardcore, that's done more harm to sport than good in the long term. Short term, it may have saved some sports. But here's the thing you've got to look at. And we can debate this until, kingdom come. We can. But let's have a look at some of the sports or some of the leagues not to benefit. Scottish football hasn't benefited. It's dying. County level cricket struggling at times. They got greedy. The ECB got greedy, screwed it. Rugby league's made a loss this year of 9 million. So even they're struggling. Oh, and don't forget the one thing sport cannot survive without the fans. Those are the things to suffer in the UK at least from subscription TV. Sports fans, we're getting mugged off. Rugby league's made a loss this year. County cricket's struggling. Scottish football, Jesus Christ, just look at the sport north of the border. It's not great. I mean, we could debate pros and cons, and my internet is really struggling, and it's really pissing me off. And yeah, it's to do with the fact that gate revenues are more important for county cricket than the ECB realised when they signed up. If you look at the county cricket not having the big cricket as it used to, it's because county cricket is more reliant on gate receipts, so for ticket sales, than the ECB realised. The ECB got greedy. They took the greedy offer from Sky. They sold the soul of the sport, and they weren't aware that county cricket really is on its knees. County cricket needs more exposure free to air to say to people, look, this sport is entertaining at the domestic club level. It's not just about the test side. There are players who are good quality players playing club cricket at the county cricket level in this country, and one day version and T20. So all formats of the game at first class level in the UK, they don't care. The ECB and greed. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. That's where your answer lies with the issues with cricket, and it does stem from subscription TV. And a lot of people say you can't space on that. Well, I can, because here's the thing with Sky Sports and like the Premier League, for example, was designed to reduce prices at the gate for fans and to improve the level of player and to improve the level of the England national side. It's taken the entire time, and this England side, the World Cup, not as good as Italia 90 or Euro 96. It's basically taken a generation. It's still not right. So you got to look at subscription sport. It's killing sport rather than helping it in the long term. Short term, yeah, short term cash injections are great, but when the sport becomes reliant on the TV revenue and ignores its fans and rips off its fans, it dies. Sport without fans is not sport. It's just corporationism. It's just corporate crap, which it is. And I don't like it when players get interviewed and they've got to toe the party line. They can't have any personality. They can't actually express their displeasure with a challenge or a decision or an issue within the sport. They've got to go, yes, no, maybe, I don't know. Can you repeat the question? I don't like the media coaching that these sportsmen have. They should be allowed to freely vent their frustrations within a sport if there are any, and also freely allowed to vent the positivities they may have had, rather than this corporate spiel, that shite. I just can't stand it. But that's another debating point for another day. But yeah, we could look at multiple facets. We could. But I'm more than happy to take more questions, and I mean, we could look at who could make it into the England and Indian test sides for next month. That will be interesting to see, actually who does make the final squad. Because for me, this guy, and even though England won yesterday, this guy, he's one of these. He's overpaid. He's overpaid, but also highly overrated. That's my opinion on Ben Stokes. Take his criminal issues and his court case out of it. He's an overpaid, overrated player. He's shown in the last 12 months nothing that says to me he's worth a centralised contract. But there we go. That's personally me. And we can debate anything really. I'm happy to have the questions asked in relation to not just the big sports, but even some of the more minor sports, and how exposure can be helped and how they can get that exposure. If this internet keeps fucking up, I swear to God, BT is useless. So yeah, I have been made aware over the last few months that connectivity has been an issue, and that's down to these guys. These guys. Hopeless internet provider. Don't get them. Do not get BT Sport. Do not get them as internet. Do not get them as mobile phone provider. They are crap and overpriced. It's another problem that sport has is the internet company. Yeah, well, my internet for some reason is being anal. It's showing that I'm losing signal when I shouldn't be, but BT useless. I think right now I don't think Virat Kohli does play for Surrey. I think he was meant to. I do think the ECB has overlooked the fact that county cricket is so reliant on gate receipts. The game isn't advertised enough on TV, so you got to say, on free to air TV, just get adverts up there saying get your tickets for this game, this game, this game, this game. Here's your discounts. They don't advertise it. They don't. They happily will advertise the Premier League games that no one wants to watch because they can't afford to on Sky and BT, but they don't advertise the domestic sport. It's pathetic. It's crap, and the ECB needs to really work out a strategy whereby the county game of all formats is properly supported, and that doesn't mean taking the sleazy option of signing up for Rupert Murdoch's sleazy money, but that's what they did. And I prefer not to keep going on and banging the drum on why I hate subscription sport, but I do. I really physically cannot stand the fact that you put a paywall in the way. And there is an issue with lack of participation. There's an issue with sports having governance issues. And most of the sports with governance issues have signed up for subscription sport. People wonder why it's all gone a bit wrong. I mean, it's corporate greed. And it's a pain in the ass. But, hey, I mean, if Virat Kohli has a very, very, very good test series, it's good for India. I mean, I'm not going to try and predict the outcome, but I do think India are going to be far superior to England. I think India have just got the better depth. They've got the better side. But yeah, any other questions on any sport? Because I've should he play? I'm not an Indian selector, and I don't know enough about some of the younger Indian players. I mean, there are some Indian players out there who really have some good first-class numbers. There are some Indian players who just do perform on the big stage, and I think part of the reason why is you got the IPL bringing so much more exposure, And yeah, his first ODI, his numbers were amazing. Like, what is it, 6 for 25? Was that? It is, isn't it? Yeah, 6 for 25 in your first international. It doesn't matter if you're playing T20, Test, ODI. Any bowler getting those figures in a day's play, that's insane. Absolutely insane. To football, transfer, big moves. Well, I'm going to put a few names on the board. Hazard, I would say Real? Question mark. Neymar, yeah, no, Neymar. He is on the board, but we don't know where he goes because if Hazard goes to Madrid, he can't go. So we're going to put that down. We're going to put down Perisic because he's been linked to Man United for about two years now from Inter. So we'll put a question mark against him. And I would say Bale, because Bale has said, much like Ronaldo, he was not happy at Madrid. So there's something going on at Real Madrid that isn't good. So we'll put Bale and question mark. Look at that. And then we could look at some of the other players who could go. So you've got to look at, I don't know, Courtois. We'll put question marks there. And where does he go? Question mark. And let's have a look. Shall we go for each player? Eden Hazard, great World Cup. That third place playoff, his goal, brilliant. The way he's played all tournament, that is a guy playing for a new club. I'm not sure how he'll work with Sarri as manager. Real Madrid, I wouldn't believe all the rumours because they want Neymar and they've been linked to Neymar for a while. Neymar, Real Madrid, with his performance at the World Cup, overpaid. Perisic, been linked to Man United for quite some time, wouldn't be surprised if another club in the Premier League or Europe snaps him up the way he played. Gareth Bale is rumoured to want out. I mean, we can put Man United in there and Man City in there. Question mark, question mark. Where does he go? Courtois, he could go anywhere. Honestly, anywhere. Hazard, I wouldn't put to Real Madrid. We could put Man City in there as well. Question mark. I mean, we could look at a variety of options for him. I mean, I don't know what else you could put down there. Neymar, Real Madrid is the big option, and he's the one I think if Bale gets sold anywhere, then yes, these two may go. Do I think the record transfer is going to be broken? Now that's going to be an interesting one because is the record going to get broken? Well, if Bale goes, and everyone says, well, Ronaldo is going to be worth a lot. Ronaldo wasn't worth half as much as Neymar. Oh yeah, I forgot about Mbappe and this guy as well. I think he will go permanently to PSG from Monaco, personally, because he's an EU player. And also PSG have also got to sell players. That's why I think Neymar goes. Neymar has to go because PSG have to sell players. So either that or Mbappe goes back to Monaco back to AS Monaco. Because if Monaco don't take the option to take him back, PSG get a reduced discount on Mbappe. Hazard, Man City, Real Madrid, Neymar, is he going to Madrid? Bale. If Bale leaves, they can get those two. Honestly. Courtois, I think a lot of Chelsea is going to be a big Chelsea exodus. I think Sarri is going to completely rebuild that side. And there have been questions about transfer policy. Mbappe, it's a toss-up whether he gets signed by PSG or goes back to AS Monaco. Hazard, I think the two that I think are going to stay on this list, I think I'll take Courtois out because he's a goalkeeper and I don't have big money. Bale's rumoured to be wanting out of Real. It's been rumoured he wants out. Perisic, we could put Man United up there. They so wanted him last year and didn't, but we'll put a question mark. Mbappe, PSG, question mark. Monaco, question mark. Mbappe will be an important one to pay attention to what happens to him because he's had a good World Cup and he's just won it. Hazard, third place in the World Cup, rumoured to be unhappy at Chelsea. May not fit in with Sarri. I would think possibly Man City. He might want to stay in the UK. He's played most of his professional career here. Neymar, he could go anywhere. You really could. If Juventus are paid 115 million euros for Ronaldo. Well, Chelsea are making signings, so Ronaldo. Oh, look, straight away. There you go. There's your replacement for Ronaldo at Real Madrid. Maybe him. Maybe Perisic. I mean, the way he played and the fact that Modric plays at Real Madrid. Any one of the top three could replace Bale and Ronaldo. Any one of them. This is where I think it's so interesting. I mean, you raised the question, and I'm trying to answer it as best I can. I mean, you've got to look at the fact that, several things have happened. I think PSG have to sell because of this. They have been ordered by UEFA to sell players. That's why I think they do not sign Mbappe and he goes back to Monaco or he gets sold on elsewhere. And PSG, this happens. Neymar leaves. That is something that I think has to happen, and that will cause a trigger effect across Europe. Because if Neymar has to go somewhere, other clubs will have to sell players. Do I think the transfer record gets broken? The fact that clubs are breaking their transfer records this summer and leagues have broken their transfer records, yes. And with Sarri going to Chelsea, yeah. They because of financial fair play, so FFP. Yeah, Neymar may have to go because of his salary and because of his transfer last year, and Matuidi's as well. PSG minimum. It's in euros, so this is in euros. Has a player. They have to sell. They have to sell 60 million value of player, and salary will have something to do with that because he's paid so much. PSG financial fair play breach. That has to happen. It has to. It's a difficult one. Variety, yeah, no, there are plenty of players. There are plenty of players. They have to get rid of a minimum of 60 million euros, and the longer they take it doing it, the more they would have to sell later on. But it's interesting. It's a token gesture by because AC Milan, they've been sanctioned under financial fair play. They've come afoul of it. Spurs, they want to win the Premier League. Spurs, so Tottenham, they want to win silverware, and to do that, you've got to keep the core squad together. They've done that. No big name players have gone from Tottenham. Kane, he's on a 5-year deal. He signed a 5-year. He signed a 5-year extension. Pochettino, the manager, same as well. So not only have they kept the core together, they've kept the star player and the manager. They want to win silverware. That's why I don't think he goes, at least not this year. If they don't win any silverware soon, then maybe. But Spurs are sick and tired of being named the selling club. That's what they don't want to become, is a club where other clubs come in and nick their best talent and make them better. Spurs want to win silverware, and they haven't won silverware for a very, very long time, and they want to change that with the squad they've got. But they've made no signings, so we'll see. I mean, you've got to look at the clubs that have broken their transfer records this year. You've got to look at some of the signings. The average, okay. And this is why I think the transfer record is broken. I don't think Bale fits into the current Tottenham side personally, but the average transfer is between 50 to 60, and we're going to put pounds down. There's your average transfer so far. That's your average. It's between 50 and 60 million pounds. So on that basis, I think yes, the record transfer will get broken. Now the World Cup's done. There's 3 weeks till they don't have long. There is 3 weeks to get transfers done now. Pre-season started. There is 3 weeks to get all your signatures in before the season starts on the 11th of August. I don't know what the transfer budget is. They haven't even got their stadium finished yet. That's behind schedule. They haven't made any signings at all. So that's a concern. I don't know who else they would be able to sell because he's signed a contract extension. There will be a clause in there with a massive buyout clause, and this is what I was debating earlier. So in North America, there are two things in North America that change the dynamic of how you build a squad. You have, well, there's three things: salary cap, a draft system, and you don't have transfers, you have trades. So the contract stays. So when a player signs his first contract, that stays with him for the length of the contract. Now, the Premier League has no salary cap. Players are developed through youth systems, and their transfers or contracts can get bought out more easily. That's why European sport, and I'm going for European sport. Finn Balor. I'm so not Finn Balor, and I so hate WWE. I had long hair until yesterday, so I'm so not Finn Balor. But that's the North American system. Spurs have a habit of signing players late. Now, whether they take time scouting is one thing, but because the transfer window has been brought forward, it's squeaky bum time. Spurs have to act quickly. Burnley are another team that haven't done any signing as well. So there's a few teams that haven't been very active, and there's others. I mean, West Ham. Let's have a look at West Ham. I mean, Christ, Pellegrini's basically bought a new team. Look at West Ham United, and look at they got a record transfer. I've got to spell. Club record broken. Which makes me wonder why West Ham didn't do that for Slaven Bilic, given the funds. It makes me wonder. It makes me wonder why they've waited until Pellegrini's come along for them to give money. That's my personal opinion. You know, uh, oh, fair enough. Richard Ashcroft. Yeah, I don't mind the verb. But Edinburgh is one of those cities where a lot of celebrities and famous people and wealthy people go to because it's slightly cheaper than London and there's less press on them apart from Edinburgh Festival, the Fringe. Apart from the Fringe Festival, a lot of wealthy people and those who are in the social spotlight go to Edinburgh because it's a little bit less oppressive than London. And you've got a lot of golf around Scotland as well. And a lot of them do like a round of golf because, again, it's quiet, it's well away from the maddening crowd. Happens. But no, back to the questions. I mean, it it's an interesting one. I mean, I've met a fair few famous people from both film, well, from music, TV, and film. Yes, but Barcelona have got one thing. Barcelona and Spanish football in general has two good things going for it: good youth system and a good culture. I mean, whether you agree with tactics they've employed where they have ticky tacky, Iniesta came through their youth system, so they have good youth system. They have also good culture and good scouting. This is why Barcelona have been decent. Yes, they do need to replace Iniesta, but at the same time, they need to update their style a little bit. They need to update their tactics and their philosophy because the Spanish national side, fell apart because they were playing the old Barca system. Doesn't work. All out possession, and they got hammered. So yes, they've got a good youth system. The culture is good. The scouting is good. They need to replace the tactics. Oh yeah, no, yeah, but they produce good players. So it's not just Barcelona. It's Spanish football in a nutshell. The issue with La Liga is it's dominated by a couple of clubs. That's why another reason why I think the Germans failed this time round. It's another reason why the Spanish failed. There's not enough domestic level competition within La Liga. because Barca and Real and Atletico, and occasionally, well, Bilbao are Basque, but the other three, they'll spoil the best players like developing these days. They will. Um, I think the political situation in Spain as well has an effect on how they played in this World Cup. There is big rivalry between in Spain. You've got Basque and this these three areas, so the Madrid area, Barcelona, the Basque Country, that's your footballing hotbeds. That's where your biggest clubs are. You've got never been relegated from La Liga, one of the most successful teams in La Liga history. Bilbao, brilliant. You got Racing, a lot of good players who come through Santander. Catalans, you've got Barca, and you've got and yeah, another very, very, very good side. And in Madrid, you've got Atletico, and there you go. That's part of the issue is the three main footballing regions. I will talk about these three main regions which have had the most successful teams. There's only 6 sides, and only 4 of them regularly battle for the Liga. So the teams that regularly battle for the Liga, they're not Espanyol, and they're not Racing Santander. There's there's 4 out of your 5 successful teams. The other one I missed out is Real. And of course, Zaragoza, a club. There's your top 5 teams in Spanish history. Different language, different language, different language. Centralist state. Real's obviously the king's side. Atletico's the working man's side. So there's political differences there. Barcelona, Catalan, Espanyol, pro Spain, Bilbao, fervently Basque Country, fervently Basque Country. Santander, also Basque Country. Zaragoza is sort of in between Madrid and Basque Country. But yeah, you've also still got oh God, Sevilla. You've got Villarreal. You know, Betis. Oh, Real Betis. How could I forget Real Betis? You've got Celta Vigo. And a lot of these clubs, they've been relegated. Atletico have been relegated. Sevilla have, Villarreal have, Real Betis. A lot of the big name clubs that people remember from the 90s, the 80s, 90s, and the early 90s, a lot of the Spanish clubs have been relegated. The teams that have never been relegated out of La Liga, I'm going to do it for you. You'll be surprised. Atletico Bilbao, never relegated from La Liga. Barcelona, never relegated. Real Madrid, never relegated. Also, you could debate on a lot of things. And this has come up a lot, especially with financial fair play being a thing. State funding. To get the Catalans and the Basques to buy into the Spanish national side, the Spanish state paid professional football clubs money. Yep, they did that. That's been mentioned before. The Spanish state paid their big clubs from the various regions money. That happened. And the federation is riven by rivalry and politics between the various factions. There's a lot of issues within the Spanish domestic game. But we could look at the Germany failure. I mean, that's pretty embarrassing, wouldn't you say? We could look at Brazil and Neymar. Yeah, the government's. It wasn't just for Barca and Real Madrid. It was for Athletic It was for them. You had funding for S and Yol, Barca, Madrid. You had funding for, I think, who else was it? And these are all big clubs. These aren't small. You had it for, I think, definitely Atletico. They got funding. The reason why Barca got funding is because I think Bilbao got funding. But yeah, the government. It wasn't just Real Madrid and Barcelona. It was several big clubs because of the fact that because Spain is so regional and has these nationalistic movements in the Catalan country and in Basque country, and there was other off-field things going on. But yeah, there was that kind of money to go. Hey, look, don't. And because the clubs have a big say politically as well with how people, respond because they represent the communities, and they're getting state funding is a bribe. Yeah, state-sponsored bribery is what it was. Is it worth buying a Lords match? Lords cricket. Answer is yes. It's one of the things on any cricket fan's bucket list is to go watch a match at Lords. Yes, it is expensive, but if you want to watch Test cricket, there are a few places you want to go. Lords is one of them. You got the MCG in Australia. You've got Cape Town. That's place to go because you've got Table Mountain overlooking. You've got the Gabba in Australia as well. You want to watch cricket in? Definitely, I want to go. Beers at Lords. Oh God, pint of lager at Lords. Well, you got London prices because it's in central London, and you add a sports stadium onto that. We're looking at 7 up to 10 quid. 7 to £10, and I'm not joking. At Royal Ascot, you're looking at £7, £8 for a pint. So you put London prices, which make a pint about 5-6 quid, and you add on the fact it's at a sporting event and a public event. It's close to 10 quid now. When I went in 2003, it was 5.50, and even then, that was in 2003. So yeah, it is expensive. But you want to go there for the experience of seeing. It's like sports stadiums you want people want to go to. You've got God. I mean, even though I'm not a baseball fan, you've got Yankee Stadium. You've got the MCG. You've got the Sydney, the SCG. So that's Melbourne in Australia, and that's obviously Sydney. You've got Lords. You've got you've got Eden Park. You've got Eden Park in South Africa. These are the ultimate Yankee Stadium. You got Madison Square Garden, MSG, Madison Square Garden for one. I mean, you've got these are just a list of some of the big sporting venues. You got the Mumbai Cricket Ground. It depends on what sport you're into. It depends, on a variety of things. But there are some places to go. Madison Square Garden is one of them. And yeah, you can get you can get a 6-10 pack of Red Stripe from your corner shop. I used to frequently. This is why I don't drink at sporting events because they market up the price. They bump the price up because they know that you've got anywhere, depending on the size of the arena you're in and the crowd, you've got anywhere, you've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 people at a big sporting event. let's say 80% of them are drinkers. You imagine how much money they're going to make. Yeah, and there's a reason why it's so expensive, and we've discussed this earlier. And the ECB forgot that cricket is reliant on gate. Oh shit! Drop a pen. Oh bloody! Stab me, bloody jersey! Oh shit! Oh, that's not going to come out. Oh, I didn't want to do that. How do you get marker board pen out of cotton, especially expensive white cotton? But that's one of the reasons why it's so expensive. Sky Sports has not brought the cost down for sport; it's put it up, and the ECB has forgotten that cricket is reliant on gate receipts, and London prices. London, I mean, any sporting event. I mean, if you've been to Wembley or Twickenham or any sports stadium, food and drink prices are really disgusting at the top level. They really are. So that's why I never really eat at a sports venue either. I don't. I have food and drink before I go out. I might get something from a vending machine if there's a vending machine available, or a petrol station nearby, corner shop, and then I go in that way. Sky, no, it's got to be free to wear. It has to happen. Yeah, I understand there's a difference between British broadcasting and in India, but it has to be free to wear. Free to wear is the way to go. But that's my personal opinion on sports broadcasting. I think there's too much reliance on TV money. I think the average fan is priced out. Some sports like cricket are now seen as elitist when they're not. Same with golf. Um, some minor sports are struggling and are not getting the exposure that they would normally get had they gone free to air. So, and in India, it's not actually that bad. It works out at like $1 a month or £2 a month. I know it's a lot cheaper in India, but you've got the population for it. It's another difference. You have a massive population of over 1 billion people. It's 1 billion potential customers at any point. But I do think the business model is flawed. I think there's going to come a point where the average sports fan goes, enough is enough. I think that's happening. I think what subscription sport was meant to do was bring costs down, and it hasn't. And it hasn't happened, and rightly so. Fans are annoyed. We there's any number of issues with that, but it is interesting. I mean, you look at football in this country. This is where I have the debate with Americans, and I disagree with the American point of view on how much you pay for a ticket. Football ticket price average, so the average price. Okay, for a decent ticket, 70 to about 160 quid. There you go. There's your average price, and that's for ticket. The premise of the Premier League was that wasn't meant to happen. The opposite has. So they sold us a pack of lies in '92, and now we're suffering because of it. Yeah, it's wrong. The amount of TV money they get, they could let us in for free. Yeah, 18 quid for a friendly. What a load of that is unacceptable. Seriously, £18 for a friendly. You should not. That's not right. It's not right because the average price to get in for non-league is about a fiver, 5-10 quid max, 18 quid. And it wasn't even a full strength Arsenal side because there's Arsenal players who are still currently at the World Cup with their World Cup squads who haven't actually travelled back, who will be on leave. It's not right. It's unacceptable. And the FA. Oh, the FA. Have you noticed Wembley sale. No news. Gone suspiciously silent about it. I think they've worked out there's a massive backlash against the proposed sale of Wembley. Because the premise of having the Premier League, part of the reasoning of giving the rights to Sky and eventually BT and setting up the Premier League was that ticket prices come down. No, that is unacceptable. £65 for a day is unacceptable. Really is. The premise by selling sports to Sky, right? This was the lies we were sold. Was this lower ticket prices? Has that happened? Big fat fuck off, no. It has not happened. The opposite has. Because you put it behind a paywall, no one can bloody watch the thing. Not enough people are engaging with the sport, so the ticket price has to go up. Yeah, it's called a racist system, Mike. It's called a disgrace, and the ECB, the ICC, the ECB, and I would say possibly the Indian Cricket Board as well, and the Marylebone M Cricket Club. All these guys, one answer for that. That's my answer for that. Disgrace. That's wrong. Yeah, and I'm going to put the B. Yeah, there's one answer for that. Disgrace. It's called racism, Mike. It happens. It's called racism. It's called national racism. It's not called racism as such because there's Indian people who live here, but it's called national racism, whereby you penalise those who live outside who want to follow their team and you rip them off. It's called rip off. It's called milking it. That wasn't the case 15 years ago. 15 years ago, you could buy a ticket on the gate, go in. Now, Sky Sports, you can say thanks to Rupert Murdoch for that. It's greed. It's corrupt greed. It's disgusting. And more people need to highlight the fact that they are actually punishing overseas fans who've already spent a fortune to get here, by the way, a fortune for accommodation, hotels, B&Bs, whatever it may be, fortune for flights, and then they're getting ripped off for ticket, and then they're getting ripped off for food and drink. It's disgusting. Whoever is in the MCC and the ECB, right, fire them. It's disgusting. It's disgusting behaviour. It's completely wrong. And I've got a family friend who's a member of Lords, and I will raise that with him, saying, it's more expensive for a foreigner to buy a ticket to watch one day's worth of Test match for the India series than someone who's British citizen. I have no idea if it's a usual cricket thing, but you got to look at the backlash for the Champions League final tickets in Kiev and how much they were going for. It's a sport thing, Mike. Big sporting international events of international club events or internationals, the fans get ripped off, and because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to go watch your team play in a final or an international, and it's not an everyday thing. Some fans will pay an arm and a leg to go see their team play, and it's getting worse every year. I think it's a sport thing, like it's a usual thing. It doesn't change. It's been the same way for years. It's more and more corporate and more rip-off. Yeah, £100, and it's not even free-to-air television coverage. It's disgusting. It's a rip-off, and it's not right. They're cashing in, and the problem is most of the country won't be able to watch the Cricket World Cup next year because it's on Sky, and a third of households do not have Sky, or half households or something. 18 million households do not have Sky Sports. So instantly, fans are missing out. So what do? Sky Sports, as I say, Sky Sports. What we were sold when Sky Sports was set up it would reduce ticket prices. What we were sold is a lie. So, Mike, there's your answer. This is what happens when you sell your sports to Rupert Murdoch. What does his newspapers do for a living? They lie. What do his news stations do for a living? They lie. What does he do for a living? He lies. He's a scumbag. There you go. We were sold a lie. And the government and governments around the world do nothing because you know why? Because there's VAT on those ticket sales and they make a killing. You've got to work out 20% or 17.5% or whatever VAT is at the moment. You work that out, 100 quid, that's £20 in tax on that ticket added. The government ain't going to lower ticket prices to make it more affordable for fans. They'll lose out on that tax revenue. Come on. It's corrupt as it comes. So yeah, every time you purchase a ticket or a shirt or anything, it's 20% VAT on that. Sport is not VAT exempt, and they charge as much as they want, and the government encourages the clubs to charge how much they want because they get more tax revenue. It's hidden tax. Well, VAT should go, but there we go. We didn't vote for it. We didn't vote for that tax policy. It should go. But that's my personal opinion on VAT. I do believe it's in June, July, and August next year. It's in the summer next year. It's a longer tournament than the Football World Cup. I would say it's July, August next year, I think, because the Major League Baseball clashes with it, partly because of where they're hosting the baseball. So yeah, I think it's something. I know it's longer than the Football World Cup. So it's this time next year, basically. Hopefully the weather's just nice. We don't have a washout of the summer. I'm hoping the weather is not as hot, but is dry. But yeah. But ticket price, 100 quid is disgusting. That's not a way to get new fans into the sport. That's a way to piss off existing fans already in the sport. But you got to look at it from the perspective of the government. It's 20% VAT. So really, your ticket price is 80 quid, and the tax band's whacked on another 20, and they don't want the sports teams to lower their prices because they get less tax revenue. Yep. I think it's wrong, the price. And we've discussed this before with sports pricing and whether it's appropriate or whether it's right. We've discussed it a lot. I mean, it was like the sports finals that have become under criticism for their pricing. We can discuss the FA Cup final. Roundly criticised for ticket prices. And then obviously later that month, Champions League final, and then you had there's your football ones that have been criticised for the ticket prices. And Mike, you were the one who raised the issue about the Tranmere Boreham Wood playoff final price. It's not right. Considering that the FA is a government-funded organisation, I think those prices should be a hell of a lot less. But yeah, here's some criticism of some big tournaments or big events that have been criticised for the pricing. Cricket World Cup, yeah, I'll put the Cricket World Cup in there. And I do seem to remember something that happened a couple of years ago. Remember that? Remember the Olympics in 2012? Yeah, that was a rip-off as well. My ex-partner's mother was working on that. They were volunteers on it. And a mate of mine was an army was in the army and was called up off his annual leave and had to work it, and ticket prices there were extortionate. So these major sporting events have regularly, and I put the Cricket World Cup in 2019 because that's not right, £100 for a foreigner and £60 for an overseas, or 65 quid for an overseas citizen, which is more. I think it's about 15 quid more than I would have to pay. That's just unacceptable. Unacceptable. It's not right. It's wrong. The ECB, well, they're scumbags in my eyes. But yeah, that I'm going to put down as I'm not happy with the ticket price for that. That's wrong. The football playoff finals, the Champions League final, that's been quite, and the Europa League finals, so European Cup finals. These are the events where ticket prices come up under question a lot. And I'll put the 2012 Olympics in there. I really will. I could put the football, World Cup we just had, the World Cup we're going to have, the Euros just gone. Keeps coming up, and the ticket price goes up every year. And that's just individual, like one-off events. It's an ongoing thing. But I am quite disgusted that Australia don't charge that much. Last World Cup they charge. Yeah, the Aussies seem to charge their prices a hell of a lot better than Europeans do. But here's the thing: in Australia, back in Australia, probably one of the most racist countries in the world, there's one big difference. I'm going to say this: free to air TV. Every sporting event is free to air TV. They did try. They did. No, but here's the thing, Mike. In Australia, obviously, you did mention they tried that Optus subscription service, and the fans weren't having it. In Australia, everything's on free to air TV, even if it's only part of the season. It doesn't matter if it's It doesn't matter if it's cricket, NRL, AFL, A League. If I can spell, overseas. It doesn't matter. Yes, they have subscription TV, and yes, the conversion rate on currencies does help, but they have a lot of free to air TV. They've got the cricket, the NRL, the AFL, and the A League, so they're domestic competitions, and overseas sport still on free to air TV all the time. That's why it's cheaper. Yeah, no, seriously, Australia, when it comes to sport, they are racist as hell out in Australia. I'm not going to lie about that. They are terrible for some of their racism. It's not, they're terrible against their own people. I mean, come on. Go look at the Aboriginal populations and what they make of the Lebanese community. It's disgusting. But free to air TV, cricket, it's a religion. NRL, it's a religion. AFL, which is the Aussie rules, religion. A League, they're growing into it. It's a sport, it's a religion. Overseas sport, so they will watch the Tour de France free to air. Partly because it's the middle of the night for them, the Tour de France. But there's a lot of Australian riders who do ride the Tour de France free to air. So yeah, there will be still subscription TV that will also have the cricket, the NRL, the AFL, the A League, and overseas sport. But they're given an option to watch it free to air. So it's a no-brainer. Free to air TV, a lot of sport on free to air TV, cheap as chips. Cheap as chips. It's a correlation. People say, but oh no, you got to pay the ticket price for the top level quality. Okay, then, if that is the case, we've got NRL versus Super League. Now I know this is rugby league, and I know this is sports that aren't things like Mike, for especially you cover, right? And Virat, you're not big rugby league fans, but I'm using this as an example simply because it 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 is what it is. Okay, NRL, Super League. NRL is both on subscription TV and Free to wear. Super League over here. Who's the best country in the world? This is Australia. Right, and this is UK / France. Who's the best team in the world? The Aussies. Correlation. You have it on both formats. More kids play the game. Who's the best nation in the world when it comes to rugby league? Australia. No contest. The only rugby league we get over here free to wear is, and you will have seen the Challenge Cup, and occasionally internationals. Over here, free to wear, their second biggest rugby league event after beating the crap out of the English, right, at any sport. State of origin. Big sporting event, it's free to wear, all 3 games. And people wonder why Australia against us in rugby league is so unbalanced. Look at that. More people are exposed to it. It's more accepted in society. It's cheaper to go watch a game. Yes, I mean the beer prices. There's an alcohol tax. That's why it's expensive for alcohol in Australia. They tax alcohol much higher, but there isn't the backlash from the people. They still drink like it's a sieve. This is the thing. When you go to Australia, they drink like it's water, but it's free to wear. Ticket prices are cheaper. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Because you can get more fans into the ground. It's more easily accessible for fans at home. And more kids want to pick up the sport, and more casual fans want to get in. And it actually encourages people to play at amateur level and keep fit and healthy. You put it behind a paywall, it puts people off because they think, sport, it's expensive, I've got to pay so much money. And it puts people off. You put a money barrier in the way, it puts people off. It's a no-brainer to have it free to wear. No-brainer. I don't understand why over here in Europe we're forcing more and more people to do the American way when the Australian model clearly works. Oh God, yeah, Australians, God, I mean, I'm not going to hide this. I've got Australian subscribers, and they will say, yeah, some of them are actually very, very disgusted with the cricket inside of it. But you look at any sport, the Australians treat that sport, as a religion. And Mike, I think that's wrong as well by YouTube. YouTube have come under a lot of criticism, for their monetization policy. I was one of those people who criticised the monetization policy. But apparently, there's a big backlog because of all those channels that were demonetized unfairly, in my view, who've now reached the next threshold. I mean, I'm trying to reach that. I'm trying to re-reach that threshold. It's my growth slowed right down. I've noticed since the issues with the remonetization policy of those who hit 1,000, my subscriber count is dropping off. Not that I'm losing subs. I'm not gaining any. I'm not getting any visibility. My videos are getting less views. It's like they're dragging their feet over exposing the smaller channels to growth. I don't understand why they make more money if we're monetized. But there we go. I'm not going to go into YouTube's policies on this live stream because, to be honest, it's more of an economics and a political side of it, and it there's more going on behind the scenes than meets the eye. I think it's wrong. They're doing a lot of their customer service by Twitter, which I think is not their customer service. Their YouTube help is useless. It's showing one thing: their AI system, which they have, it's failing. And that's all I'm going to say on it. They've got rid of so many of the human moderators because they want to make as much money as possible and not have to spend money. Their AI system is failing. That's what I'm going to say on that, Mark. I'm not going to give you false hope and say, yeah, you're going to get monetized again. I believe you will. You might have to change your thumbnails. This is why I never have thumbnails on my videos. They're already planning to possibly do away with thumbnails of videos. They've shown with that experiment they were doing, they don't care about the big or the small channel, regardless of how many viewers, subscribers, and all the effort we put in. They piss us about. I don't do thumbnails. It may make my channel look a little bit less professional, but I can see you falling afoul of copyright violation with your thumbnails. I really can. That's not to say like don't keep doing them, but Christ, there's been a lot of issues with the copyright policy. That's been aggravating everyone. I've fallen afoul of it with one of my live streams, which has aggravated me because the music that was in the background of the live stream was also on the recommended listing for music lists. So I was like, "You're stupid," and I'm not contesting it. The first live stream I did fell afoul of copyright. I'm not even monetized, and they've said as soon as you get monetized, all the money from that video will go to this record label. But the song was written 50 years ago, and the guy's dead. They're after you. I'm not going to go into the politics side of it and the legal side of it because we could be here all night. I don't want the live stream to get completely off track. If I set up my other channel for live streams, the history channel, then yes, I'm more than happy, to do a live stream on my history channel when I set up all the various stuff on that channel on non-sports related issues that are happening. Yes, but on this one, I'd rather not have the discussion on this channel because I try and keep sport and politics separate. This channel, it's small. It's still there. I haven't done a video for a few days because obviously the finish of the World Cup and Wimbledon, the Tour de France, and I have had 2 heavy nights drinking where I got a little bit messy. Um, yes, so I didn't do a video on the third place playoff because I was drunk, and I didn't do a video on the semi-final, England semi-final, because I was drunk. So the History Channel, it takes a lot more research for videos. So instead of me, I mean, look, if you look at today's notes, so we've got. I mean, here's my notes for today's stage in the Tour de France. Okay, that's today's notes in the Tour de France. So that's me watching the Tour de France. That's me taking notes. Here's some of my World Cup notes. I mean, on my pad here, I've got the World Cup final. There's my notes for the World Cup final. I just chose the big moments. I've done a video on that. The Colombia when they played Poland, I just took few little notes, little thing, and that's before I had the whiteboard. But I'm going through. Let's say we'll go through. I mean, here's Belgium, Tunisia. There's um, the Swiss controversy with the celebration. Sport is not as hard. History. I mean, I might have some of my history notes on here. You're going to have to bear with me, Mike. I've got to go check if I have any history notes. I think mostly I use the. I don't think I have any history notes on here actually. I don't think I do. I think it's all. This is all World Cup and stuff. Yeah, no, I have no history notes on this notepad. It's all World Cup and the sport that's happened in the last. That's basically 2 weeks worth of sport on that pad. So I'm running out of pads. But no, when it comes to history, channel it's a lot more. A lot more research has to go into every topic that gets discussed. And that means longer to prep a video. And it, I mean, it's taken 4 months to plan the channel and make sure that it, because it means more research and longer to make a video, it means I'm limited in how many videos a day or a week I can make on the channel. However, I'm starting a new job tomorrow, but I've got a few video ideas that are not on the normal playlist that I've been doing. I've been also requested. Oh, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, Sam Halley being sacked. I mean, I can do a video on that. I mean, you'll probably do a video on that, and we're competing for the same viewership. The fact that you've hit 1,000 means you're getting that little bit more exposure. You'll probably get 10 times the views I do for Sam Howley being sacked by Argentina. You really will. If Kemmel, one of my subscribers, does a video, he's getting thousands of views per video now. For some reason, I'm not getting the exposure I was before. Sam Howley, I'm not surprised by that. I'm really not. But Argentina have far deeper issues with. I mean, Argentina. Firstly, yeah, Sam Howley. I think. Sampaoli, I mean, honestly, wrong manager, but also you got to look at the players as well. It's a two-way street, and then you got to look at oh god, the fed, the federation and domestic game. Here's the four things that have gone wrong with Argentina. When it comes to Kemmel, the reason why he suddenly had massive growth is this. That situation. What's been going on with Conte and replacement by this guy? That's why there's been a lot of interest in his channel is the Conte situation and the Sarri situation. A lot of Chelsea fans, because he's a Chelsea channel, he's purely Chelsea. Chelsea fans right now are in fever pitch because they don't know what Sarri is actually going to do. And they don't know also how long Abramovich is going to be owning the club. There's a lot of uncertainty at Chelsea. So Chelsea fans are really in this mindset of fever pitch and uncertainty, and it's an uncertain future. But they're suddenly making signings. They are. I mean, yes, he is getting a lot of growth. And we were neck and neck. Me and Kemmel were neck and neck until about a month ago, and he's just gone forward because I focused on the World Cup and a bit on the Tour de France, and I haven't really been focusing on the club stuff. I think that's where he's gone ahead. That's where you've gone ahead, and I've gone down. I'm focusing on the big tournaments, and I'm not focusing on every little transfer. I'm not focusing on every little incident that every club goes through because I don't have the time. Partly, I don't have the time. I'm starting a new job, and I'm going to be commuting 2 hours a day there and back, and I'm going to be, working in a workshop 9 till 5. So it depends on how much time people have. Now, Kemmel is a student, so he's not working. He can devote a lot more time to his club, the news around his club, and the issues going on with his club. You, again, I'm not sure about like your work hours, but you can devote. You've been a YouTuber before. You can devote a lot of time because you're focusing on the one sport. Because I focus on every sport, I cannot devote the time and resources to, the because I cover like we've got the NHL, we've got football, we've got tennis at the moment. We've got what else? I mean, how many sports do I cover? Rugby. I mean, God, this is going to be mad. And the list goes on and on. I mean, because you cover the one sport and because Kemmel covers the one club, I think personally, I think that is where the success in your niche lies. My niche is I cover more sports and I do it in a slightly different way. But it's not to say that's the wrong way to do it. It's because at the moment you got a lot of this. And with Chelsea, they've had a lot of this. That's why your two channels are doing much better than mine. But at the same time, it also depends on your subject matter, how what your title is. Title's got a big thing to do with it. There's a lot of things. I'm not saying don't regret covering your topic. Don't regret covering your what makes your channel successful. Absolutely not. I would never say to another YouTuber change your content. I could say you might want to change the way you deliver your content. Hence why I've now got a studio, I've got a whiteboard, I've got colour markers, I've made, But then look, I've made my own magnets. So I've decided to, brighten up, my channel. So I've got magnets. Like, you know what I mean? I spent what, near on, oh shit, that's upside down. Club in distress. Club is in distress. You know, I've got more magnets to come, but because I've got 2 channels, I decided to brighten up and you know, and I mean, look, I've decided to, you know, do a bit more. The whole from the whole expecting a video and everything. I understand why people want to see certain content. Oh no, no, the magnet's broken. Oh shit, I've got to glue that. Got to glue a magnet. Okay, one of the magnets is damaged. That's a bit of an arse. Got to fix a magnet. That's annoying. How do I make them? Oh, it's simple. All you need. Ow. All you need is. I'm not gonna make one now, but I've got my magnet printouts, but I printed on an A4 the logos I want, and then you get a bit of glue and you stick onto a bit of cardboard like this, and on the back you stick a stickable magnet. Now that's a magnet strip. You can cut down to size. You get a bit of cardboard. On one side you stick the magnet strip on the back, and then on the front you glue down your logo. I've got to fix that one now. It's really annoying. Shit, I've got to fix a magnet. But yeah, that's how I make them. I make them quite simply. I can go through it's a messy process. Got to have a lot of art and craft glue. But basically, yes, you print out your logo as you do. That's actually paper, and it's, as you can see, coming off. I glued that onto a Cheerios box. I just recycled cardboard. So yeah, I go on the printer, print out the logo I want, cut, literally just stick it on, and then once it's stuck down, yeah, cut the outline off the cut. So cut it out paper, stick it onto the cardboard, then cut round the outline, stick the reversible magnet strip on the back, and there you go. The reason why I only have 2 channels is you're limited per email address. So you're limited to 2 channels per phone number and email address. That's a YouTube rule. I've got to fix that one. You're only allowed to have 2 YouTube channels per account. And to be honest, I'm happy having just a sports and a history one. It is what it is. It's a sports discussion. We could have a live stream every night at, let's say, 7 p.m. for an hour. And you guys, what's happened sport day? We can discuss this transfer, this suspension, this club having a buyout, fan protest. I don't have the energy for more than 2 channels. I'm already flat out with 2. I needed a break for a day over yesterday. I just needed a break from doing videos for a day. Had to. And with work coming up, my new job, I'm going to be full-time work in a workshop. I'm not going to have the time. You know, I've got a lot coming up over the next couple of weeks, and I won't have the time. I've got do lots of bits and pieces away from the channel and away from work. That's a lot of bills. I've got a lot of I've got MIT. I've got, you know, CBT. I've got a lot going on away from the channel that does take up a lot of resources financially and stuff. But yes, back to where is it? Oh, I've got to find the magnet. What? There's a hockey magnet. How's that? That's the one I'm after. That's what I want. Yes. Of course, that is now their old logo. But yes, we do have not long to go before ice hockey starts. It's going to be interesting. I think there are 2 things that make British ice hockey really interesting right now. Really interesting. And that's 2 reasons. One, the GB national side. That doesn't matter. and 2 players. Okay, let's go with the GB national success. You know, Liam Kirk, NHL. Oh, excuse me. Oh, fudge! I cannot spell. I can't completely misspelled his surname. Oh, N the SHL. That's why suddenly there's a lot of positivity around the sport in the UK. A lot of sport around it's taken a long time. I'm not going to lie, it has taken a long time. Um, you know, it it's difficult. But no, yes, I can understand the eyes being on Basingstoke Bison. I mean, the issue there is clearly the rink. Oh, I've got my spelling today is absolutely atrocious. Um, big letters, John. Big letters. Come on. And the issue there is obviously, and it's been going on now for about 3-4 years, is that how long can the rink hold out? That's the big question right now with the Bison is their rink. How long can they keep that rink going? Because honestly, it's not good. It's not good. Um, yes, I am looking forward to the new season. I am looking forward to seeing like new players and watching the sport again. And it's been great seeing a lot of new fans get involved in the sport in the last couple of years in this country. People tend to forget. I mean, outside the UK, especially North America, they forget we have teams over here and we play the sport and we follow the sport and we're big fans of the sport. They do forget. Um, oh look! I mean, that rink is dangerous. We can debate how dangerous it is. I mean, my friend used to play there. I've got another friend who plays for Windsor who's done training there and he's and played his level of hockey, which is below the national level hockey. Um, I mean, I've skated there, I've seen matches there. I honestly have no idea, even now, um, how that is considered safe to use. Um, oh God, it's terrible. I don't know what's happening now with it being so hot this summer. What's that's done to the ice surface because the dehumidifier doesn't work and the coolant system doesn't work. Um, but I don't know. I don't know what they do. I honestly don't know what they do. The women's team has moved to Slough, so and the way they were treated by the ownership of Basingstoke Bison was and the club ownership was disgusting. I know some people who play on that team. Um, but the whole situation is not great. It's far from it. It's been poor for quite some time, and you could discuss the fact that Planet Ice haven't um, looked after the facility. You could discuss the fact that the local council haven't stepped in when they should have with a compulsory purchase scheme, and you could discuss the fact that it is held together with scaffolding and sticky tape, um, and not very well, and the fact that half of it is not usable. When it comes to away games next season, me and my mates will not be going to Basingstoke to watch a game. Um, the car park, there's no where you're going to put it. The car park's on a slope. The site is unsuitable for it. There isn't a location nearby where you could put a temporary rink. I know they did it with Slough. I know they did it with Cardiff, but there isn't a site that's flat enough and big enough nearby where that would work. And that could kill the team. The team is reliant on some revenue coming in. Um, they're better off relocating, and I would say relocating like this. slash merging with another team. That's their only option, personally, for long term. And relocating, you've got Gosport Rink, which is basically Portsmouth. It's in the Portsmouth area. Or they merge clubs with Swindon, Bracknell. That's the options they have. Is they either relocate, I would say Gosport, or they merge with another hockey club. That's the only option they have left to them now. How will it work when you merge? The Minnesota North Stars in the NHL did it. They were a merger of two teams. Then now the Dallas Stars, they relocated. It happens. Relocating, basically, you play your season and then you relocate. So the original Solihull Barons, okay, and now I'm going, oh, I put original because there is a team called Solihull Barons now. MK Lightning. That happened in, I would say, what, about 2000? Question mark. But they moved. And then if you want to look at in the NHL about teams that have relocated, and if you follow the NHL, the Quebec Nordiques, right, are now Colorado. I'm using this as an EG. Okay, this is an example. The former Quebec Nordiques, Colorado Avalanche. They were Coventry, then they became Solihull, and then they ended up at Milton Keynes. And then the current Coventry Barons became the new Solihull Barons. So the original, that's why I said original. The original Solihull Barons became MK Lightning, and the Coventry Barons became the Solihull Barons. Yep, it's happened before. It doesn't happen as much in the UK, but yeah, there's your relocation. Like, what's going on with Basingstoke? Yes, their only other option is to relocate or to fold. Yeah, everyone left when ice hockey got mentioned. They are weak. They do not understand. Although Mike, he's a YouTuber himself. He's got to do his own channel, and Virat is living in India, so he's like 5 hours ahead. So it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. It is understandable. Mike talks football, literally. He's got his own channel and he's got to produce his own content. So yes, it's great that we go on each other's live streams and we get involved with each other's channels. But at the same time, he's got to make his own content. So I don't mind him popping in and out. He's been doing it all live stream. He's been popping in and out for the last 2 hours. Virat, again, he pops in and out as well, but he's in India, so he's like 5 hours ahead. So you've got to understand that there's a reason why I do it at the certain times I do it, because of the time zones, the fact that I've got viewers all around the world. But yeah, no, ice hockey, it's not a topic that everyone's going to like. You've got to understand that because we cover all sports in this channel, there will be topics that not every sport that not every viewer is going to. I'm not interested in ice hockey or cricket or tennis or whatever it may be. It's something that some people have the patience for. It's something that others don't. But no, yeah, the Basingstoke Bison, that rink, it is amazing to me how that's been past fit for use for as long as it has. The women's team were told they can't guarantee that the rink is going to be safe for the whole season. So that's a concern. As a fan, And as someone who's met some of the players last year, the Bracknell players who've now gone to Basingstoke, yeah, I feel sorry for them. Now having to train and play in a facility that I wouldn't even take, a best mate to who needs to learn how to skate, I wouldn't take them there. So if it's a facility that I don't want to use, it's a facility that's been allowed to get so bad, and the fans and the team have been completely treated disgracefully by Planet Ice. But that, I'm not going to go into the economics behind it and the fact that you know, um, yeah, I mean they could merge. When I say merge, they become part of the hockey team, as in their club becomes part of the club that is financially viable, and we absorb their fan base. I'm not saying they share a rink. No, no, no. Merging is not that. I'm gonna go for another. Oh, here's the thing. When I say merging, okay, let's say Bracknell will still be Bracknell. Bracknell Bees will continue to exist. Basing, oh god, I've got to spell Basing. The Bison is absorbed by the Bracknell Bees, so they cease to exist. So Basingstoke and Bracknell merge together. It remains the Bracknell Bees because they're the team that Basingstoke are joining, and Basingstoke disappears. The Bison name goes, but the two clubs merge together. They pool their resources, and they're better off. The women's team is moved because let me get rid of that. The Basingstoke women's team moved because they weren't guaranteed ice time or the fact the rink would be suitable, which says to me this is the Bison's last season. This time last year, I was made aware of the situation of the Basingstoke rink, and obviously then I went to see the M4 derby games between us and your lot. And I went to an away game with a couple of mates. We went to Basingstoke. Jesus Christ, that rink was abysmal. It was terrible state, and I feel sorry for the fans and the players. I do. That team played well all season. That team played under very, very and if the Bison merge will fold a D2 team, and I would say this team, Chelmsford, and an 8-team league isn't great. So the Chieftains. Oh god, I've got a spell. Don't forget these guys. They're still going. I would say these two teams go up. That's what happens when Basingstoke go. I think these two teams get invited up. Slough's rink's been refurbed. Chelmsford's got a rink that's in decent state. And it's an automatic rivalry between Chelmsford and the London Raiders or the Romford Raiders. Slough, automatic rivalry for Bracknell and Swindon because it's the M4 corridor. And it's also an automatic rivalry for Milton Keynes, having that other team that's at the base of the M40 in Slough. You could possibly Oxford City. They have to make some rink adjustments. But yeah, no, teams can go up. I think if Basingstoke do fold, there's going to be a lot of players looking for teams as well, which means you're going to need another team or two in the league to balance out the loss of such a big name thing. Oh no, I have no issue with the Link Centre. Manchester, no. Manchester, all man. I mean, I cannot see the Phoenix coming back. The Storm are struggling financially yet again. Manchester teams have an issue, and it's this: money. It would be lovely to see a Manchester team back, but then it unbalances the divisions, and we saw with the EPIHL what happened to the Phoenix. We saw with the original Super League what happened to the original Manchester Storm. We've seen with the Elite League what's happened with the Manchester Storm and the Manchester Phoenix being formed. Manchester, for some reason, always seems to have money problems. It's not the fact that the fans aren't there in Manchester. It's the fact that there's some kind of issue with the running of a team in Manchester. For whatever reason, they never managed to get it to work. And it's a pain. It is a pain because they've had some great players play, in the Manchester area, in any league that we've had in this country, be it professional, semi-pro, or amateur. Manchester teams have always had good teams. It's just financially, there are issues for whatever reason. And it's always to do with this. Firstly, it's to do with money, but at the same time, they also have rink issues in Manchester. The current Storm play in Altrincham. There's always been rink issues and there's always been money issues, and they go hand in hand because they don't own their own rink. They have to rent, and the rental agreements they had to. I mean, Manchester Phoenix moved like 4 times in 2 seasons, so there's that. Oxford, they're the reason why the league structure is weird and has stayed weird. Why we have 9 teams in Division 1. They and Chelmsford weren't happy with whatever was agreed. And to be honest, they've also got to make some adjustments. They're putting more plexiglass in. It's all netting. They may have plexiglass there. I don't know what state their rink's in. Their rink needs some refurb, and that costs money. And then the rink owners themselves have to be willing to fork the cash. Bracknell's rink's being refurbed. We've got the big screen working again. Yes, we have netting up. So Bracknell's rink is going for £1 million refurb. Swindon, there's a few things you could do better at Swindon. I'm not gonna lie. Tidy up some of the downstairs seating areas. Get rid of all those stupid calves and have both ends above the goals as seating as well. You could do that. And have it a 3-sided rink. I mean, I would say that it, as I say, it'd be nice to have Manchester back as a team. Manchester Phoenix. I do think the Manchester Storm, they've had money problems in the past and they continue to have issues now. There you go. It's the Link Centre. If the Link Centre want to, get more revenue, get rid of the crappy calf. No one uses it. And the crappy bar as well. I think they've got to look at getting rid of one of those, either the cafe or the bar, because when I was watching a game there was a big punch up. I was following Twitter whilst watching the game, and someone was like, "It's great to see a hockey game. It's a friendly. Can the people in the bar stop treating it like it's MMA?" There was a big punch up in the bar. So there is, but it's the way the rink's laid out. The Link Centre is the Link Centre. It is what it is. Like, you have got an arena that works. It is holding the team back because the more the Elite League grows and the more the sport grows, that arena is going to possibly hold the Wildcats back, and you have got the urban area and the fan base to do, be able to support a bigger rink or a higher league. I think Bracknell, they've decided to refurb their arena, and I believe they're going to try a run at the Elite League in a couple of years' time. I honestly do. Same with Hull. They've been told to have a look at the state of their arena and furb it up a little bit, and refurb it a little bit. That's why they were projected this summer, just gone, as we're in, and they're not going up this year. But I do believe that the Elite League wants to have more teams in the south of the UK and grow the size of the league. I have no doubt in my mind that is the goal of the Elite League, is to grow the game in the south of the UK at the top level, get more exposure. And at some point they've got to sort out some TV rights with either Premier Sports, Free Sports, or Channel 5, or some of the free-to-air channels, because it's a sport that needs exposure. And Sky Sports has already proven, and this is why I don't like Sky. We mentioned Sky a lot tonight. So yeah, is what it is. Yeah, I have the punch ups. Yes, I was at a Streatham Bracknell game where there was a really late dirty hit, that was serious, and it led to a complete and utter. I'm trying to read this one because you really typed that quick and you misspelt a few words and the grammar's a little bit off. But I get what you're saying. The Streatham equipment manager was throwing water onto the ice while players were skating, and he told the young fans to basically sod off. I get what you're saying now. I mean, I I've I was at a game last season at Streatham with a mate of mine, and yeah, there was a cheap late hit on a Bracknell player. There was a reaction. Players left the bench. If that's a higher league game, they get banned. But obviously, the refereeing was poor, which is another thing that regularly comes up, and it led to a line brawl. And it led to a big punch up. Um, yeah, I look. The sport gets passionate. It gets intense. It's not perfect. That's not the image that I think the sport in this country needs. It needs a positive image. You could look at Nicholson getting fired by Milton Keynes Lightning for punching a fan. Um, I think it, it's a tough one. I mean, I wasn't there, so I can't comment on if that was between a Swindon and was that between. Well, I'm assuming that was a Swindon Streatham game. I wasn't there, but the I mean, I've been at some games where yeah, I know some Bracknell fans who do get a little bit really, really, really push the boundaries with players and what they say. Um, and yeah, I've seen it get really, really heated on the benches because where I normally move around, and when you obviously clocked me at a game and you walked past, and I was with my mates, we were sat downstairs, and we used to sit upstairs, but then we decided to move downstairs. I found us some pretty good seats in the corner where we could see more of the ice surface, and we could see the what was then the temporary screen. Um, and there is a group of fans who I wouldn't call fans, I call them idiots, who regularly try and antagonise the away team. They sit by the away team bench and they give a lot of abuse, and whether it's right or wrong, it's debatable. But it is what it is, and I've seen some players give the water bottle and give it a spray. Um, British rinks aren't the most separating fans from players type rinks. You can quite easily have that interaction between fan and player that could be a bit nasty, as seen this season. Yes, Frankie is not back. Um, he still has like a 13 game ban. I think he's done in British ice hockey. And to be honest, good. Yeah, his second suspension I don't think was warranted. I was at that game. I couldn't see the hit from the angle I was at, because I was sat on the wrong side of the rink downstairs. So hence why I found the new seats in the corner where you clocked me. But it's from what I've heard from some of my mates who are around the. No, the netting's upstairs. The glass is still all round. There is still plexiglass. Basically, here's a rink, okay, and I sit now downstairs here, so I can see everything. Okay, the benches. There's your benches. Penalty box. Penalty box. Now, when Frankie got his last suspension, and I'm going to go through this. I was sat here. Now the incident happened there, and it was shoulder to shoulder because the other guy was shorter. He got absolutely flat. He got a 18 game suspension for that, and I think it was unwarranted. I think they went on previous behaviour. and I think yeah, it was wrong. I do think Frankie's done. I do. Um, his track record with suspensions in every league he's been in is really shocking. He's had a lot of penalty minutes in his career at various levels of the game, junior level, um, minor professional level. I think it's unfortunate. It is because he is a useful player. He's big, he's powerful, he can agitate, power forward. He occasionally drops the gloves, but his discipline's not good enough. If your star player is not disciplined enough, the team suffers. It's a minor player who is a depth guy who's indisciplined. It's different. You can afford to have him suspended, but you got to look at the amount of suspensions he got. He got 6 games. Elbow, well, hit to the head, wasn't it? It was hit to head for a hit to the head. I think he got, was it 6 games? Was it a month? Yeah, I think it was 6 games, 6 to 8 games for the hit to the head. He got 2 games for too many pens because there is a limit on how many penalties you can get before you get a suspension. And then he got a further 18 games for allegedly, I think, boarding. And I'm going to put boarding because it was shoulder to shoulder. Now that one I disagree with. The first 2, 8 games for those 2 combined offences, I have no issue with. The 18-game one, which is what with the end of the season. So when the season ended, he still had about 13, or I think 11 to 13 games suspension. And yeah, no, I mean, I think what's gone there is the officials and the league, and they will look at his, PIHL, so the old league, and his records. He did play some games in the elite league. They'll look at his records in the past league that was the which was under British ice hockey, and they'll look at the EIHL as well. They'll look at his past record, and his record here was poor, and here was poor. He had a lot of suspensions. He had a lot of game ban. He had a lot of suspensions. And I've looked at the what the current guidelines are for penalties. I've been on the website. So when it happened, me and my mate Sam, the guy you saw me with at the ring, when I was down there, and I did say, "Don't be afraid if you and your family come and say, oh, I'm a big fan, whatever, it's fine." But me and my mate, we were looking at the website for what each suspension's worth and how many, if you have repeat offenders, how many extra bans do they put on. So we're reading on the disciplinary side of things, the disciplinary committee, and it does go partly on past offences. And because of some of his past offences, it wasn't good. Some of his past misdeeds counted against him. And I do think 18 games, harsh. It was. But you've got to look at also previous conduct. Not just here in this country, but in every league and every team he's played for. You have to look at a player's history. And when it comes to supplementary discipline, that is a word I can't spell. When it comes to disciplining a player based on A, what's happened, and B, his past infractions, and if it's been more than, I think they look at the last, is it 3 years, and how many suspensions in the last 3 years he's had. If he's had one game, I don't know, for I don't know, disrespecting an official. So we'll go for of official. I don't know. We'll go with that. He's given a bit of back chat. He's been given a game misconduct. That's normally a one game. Let's go for, I don't know. Let's say 2 games for example. And this is all examples here. I don't know, charging. I think charging, and then let's say there's another game. For, I don't know, misconduct offence. So I know it's 5 games for leaving the bench. Yes. So you get 5 games, for example, and a game misconduct for leaving bench. Okay. Let's say that's happened in the last 3 years. That will take into consideration. Let's say in his career, he's never had any of this ever, and he has that in a season. Then yeah, they look at, let's say that I'm using hypotheticals. So supplementary discipline is difficult because they'll look at a player's past history and what he's also. If he's been giving a lot of back chat, that's different. If it's dirty play, they'll look at that regardless if it's a bad call or not. But yeah, Bebris. Bebris is a bit smaller. He's 6'4", not 6'8". But player safety is important. Okay, so they're trying to get headshots and I think slew footing as well, especially right taking a guy's knees out from behind. That's always been cheap. But that they're trying to get these 2 issues out the game. They're trying to reduce the number of headshots and slew footing and basically just cheap shots. And I'm using slew footing as an example, but they're trying to take cheap shots and headshots out of the sport, and that's been like that for 14, 15 years. That the rule book is constantly being evaluated, and new penalties have been given, and new suspensions have been given, and they are trying to crack down on cheap, dirty play, so shots from behind on an unsuspecting opponent and hits the head. It is what it is. If the league admits, yes, we got a call wrong. Yes, you know why? Flying pen. Refs. They're human. Okay, I'm going to end on this one because it's past 9 o'clock, and I do really want to get some dinner. I don't think the league is less relaxed or more relaxed. Fighting went up this year, partly because the EPIHL had more fights over the NIHL. It was known. So you've got all those ex-EPL players going down and they're more physical, they're bigger, they're faster. It's going to aggravate those journeyman players who have a little bit less skill. Fighting was up this year. It was up by double. And you could put that down to a lot of new teams joining the league. You could put it down to a lot of new players playing at a different level. And you could put it down to the style of play. It's a little bit less skillful and a bit more rough and ready. And there were some really bad incidents, but you also put it down to this. And this is not just an NIHL. This happened in the EIHL and the old EPIHL, and is happening in the NIHL. So now that league is defunct, and I'm going to finish on this because this is something that I spoke to some of the Bracknell players about when they had the club shop open night last season. There was poor officiating last year in the Elite League. in the EPIHL, there's a couple of refs that I don't think are up to even semi-pro standard for reffing. And in the NIHL, a lot of the officials are even more part-time. Poor officiating. And I've looked, and this is something that I did the survey for Banners on the Wall, and that was a British ice hockey survey that links all the leagues in. And one of the questions was, what do you feel the standard of officiating was? And I put down very poor. And sometimes, yes, you would get a referee who know how to referee the game, but the quality of officiating in the British leagues is poor, which leads to which leads to that. I don't think it's more tolerated in the lower level, because you've got to look at the EIHL. Fighting was through the roof. I honestly think there's a lot more guys who are fighting to get places. It's the style of play in this country. Yes, there are skilled players, but I think British ice hockey's got that league style of play where it's a rough and tumble league, and European ice hockey is getting more that way, with the enforcer role or the fighting side in the North American leagues being less important. A lot of those players are coming over. A lot of the local lads want to give it a go as well. But it comes down to poor officiating and retaliation between players, because there's a lot of slashing and spearing penalties as well that would not have happened had the officials been going, like, that's a dirty play, that's a penalty, you're off. A lot of stupid holds, slashes, trips. Because of that, it leads to that, which then leads to more fighting. But I'm going to call it there. I'll take one more question, and then I think I'll call that a night. I will look at the Peterborough side of it. Yes, Peterborough have a lot more junior players, and Swindon and Bratton have got more experienced players. It just swings and roundabouts. I think that's what happens when it comes to sport. Right. Some teams will have more youthful based lineups, and some teams will be more experienced. So I'm going to leave that there. So thank you everyone who asked all the questions tonight. I know it wasn't necessarily the best live stream we've had, but it's the middle of summer. A lot of people are on holiday. A lot of people, been watching the World Cup or the tennis, and I've done a lot of football videos lately. I can understand why people feel that, okay, football not my thing, but I've really enjoyed the live stream. I mean, we've got the whiteboard, so we can now discuss more questions in more in depth. When someone asks a question, we can go in and discuss. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much for everyone who contributed and was involved tonight. Really appreciate it. But no, if at the end of the day, if you've got one more question, Casey, feel free to ask it. I mean, I understand that, yes, Peterborough do have a lot of junior players this year. I've been looking at the roster updates, and I can take one more question. It's just the light starting to go, and it's I've got to get some dinner in me, because I've got to be up at like 6 in the morning. I've got to sort out my work stuff for tomorrow. But yeah, no, fighting, I don't think it's more relaxed. I think it's the style of play that this country has, but we do have a lot of skillful players. It's just we're a bit more rough and tumble and physical than the North American leagues would be, for example. I think there's a bit more physicality. There's a bit more graft and grind. And what do I do as a job? Well, I'm changing. I was working as a farm labourer, and I've now gone into electrical appliance refurb. So basically, I'm going to go into an electrical workshop, and I'll be working on fixing scanners and things that are used in industry to scan products and stuff. So basically, I'm going to be doing some wiring, some soldering, some reprogramming. So I'll just be a workshop assistant basically. I was working as a farm labourer. After that, I was working as an industrial jet washer. I used to work in a legal office. I've done various things, but I'm changing jobs, and it is what it is. And I'll start my new job tomorrow, so got to get me beauty sleep. But no, I'm going to leave that there. I do appreciate all the questions and everything, but sun's starting to go down. It's getting dark. It's getting late. But no, you asked some interesting questions about British ice hockey, and yes, I'm more than happy to go through and discuss poor officiating, which isn't just a British hockey problem. That's a hockey problem in the NHL as well. There's been issues with goalie interference. There's been issues with face-off violations. There's been issues with all sorts. You got to look in the context of, for example, What happens in the top league does filter down. So in this country, we had a poor issue with poor officiating, and yes, the lower levels felt the effects of poor officiating in the top tier in this country. But then you've got to look at the NHL having really poor officiating on various issues, and it filters down into the lower levels of the game in North America and Europe. It does. It does because there'll be those players on two-way contracts. They'll report back to their AHL, ECIHL affiliates and say, look, this is happening in NHL games. So you might have a centerman or a goalie who's been called up as cover. He's seen it happen. He's kind of, coach, this is happening. The officials will say, I'm not calling it. And the coach will get, they're not calling it. And then let's say in the summer, free agency, they get, picked up by a European team. They're, going to say that this is happening. What's the referee? And it does spread. And then they know because the refereeing standards aren't as high in Europe, they can get away with stuff. Okay, I will finish on the VAR because you've just joined. I was going to end the live stream like 5 minutes ago, but I'll answer this. I've answered earlier, so if you when I finish the live stream, just go back and look at. I'll VAR. I'm going to finish on this. It was 90% effective. I will say it got some of the calls wrong. So I'm not saying it was perfect. So it was, a 90% success rate, not bad. The issues with it, too long on review. That was an issue. And early in the tournament, many missed. Of that, there is no doubt, especially the holding in the penalty area. So I was actually going to end the live stream, and you guys have all decided to turn up, and I've got so much crap to do. But the reviews take too long. There were a lot of missed calls earlier on in the tournament, which seemed to be ironed out as the tournament went on. And another issue I think is, not clear on the sense that we don't know when the referee's, been told about a review. So it's not clear to fans when a review is about to take place. Because the players crowding around, I think they were told not to do that, and they did the opposite. Referees were told to book players for crowding around and didn't, so consistency as well. And we did cover this earlier, so as soon as the live stream's posted, feel free to go watch the live stream again. And I can't remember exactly where it is. It's in the first half, but feel free to listen to the live stream again, and I do discuss that it is, yes, it's effective, and the 90% effectiveness outweighs a lot of these negatives. But yes, they need to look at the length of time. They need to look at why calls are getting missed that are so blatantly obvious. They need to clear it up with fans in the stadium and at home, and they need to be consistent. If they're not going to call holding in the box, then call it for all. If you're going to call some, call others. But I will agree, the penalty review, nearly 4.5 minutes. They need to reduce that to about 1 to 2 max, mins. Max. No holds, no bars. Too many missed calls. They did start to fix that towards the end, but group stages missed loads. But that did improve. Not clear to fans. Fully mic up. Fully mic up the officials like other sports, so we know what's going on. And consistency, that goes in with that. They did start fixing it towards the end, but they weren't consistent on everything. But yeah, the big issue with a lot of people is the time for the review. The fact it's 90% effective, there will still be those fans who kick off, but it screws up 10% of the time. Or with referees, it's 50% of the time, or it's a 50-50 call. So it is more effective than people give it credit for. But the consistency, the missed calls, review, and not clear to fans, that's what needs to be cleared up. I was literally about to finish the live stream, then everyone turned up. So I have got other things to do. So I would love to stay on longer, but I started this at about 6:30, so we are going to call it a night. But there's your VAR in a nutshell. It is here to stay. Officiating, they were becoming too reliant on this, and they weren't going with their gut instinct. So um, that's another thing why I think they need to use it as a help, as a help, not as every decision in the box go to VAR. Some referees, I think this referee tonight, he was good throughout the tournament. The World Cup was his worst performance. The opening game, he was brilliant. The final, worst performance. But I'm going to leave that there. So yeah, as I say, thank you very much for watching. I was literally about to go offline, and everyone turned up. But these are the issues that they need to work with: is the review time, the missed calls consistency, and make it clearer to fans where we hear the other VAR officials go, "You want to check this." But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I know, I was going to end the stream when you turned up, so I feel bad now, but we've been going for 2 hours 40 odd minutes, and I have got to sort out my new work stuff. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and feel free to, if you've missed anything. I discuss a lot about the VAR and other sports that use it, so check that out when the live stream gets posted. It's about halfway through. I make a list of the pros and cons and the sports that do and don't. Cheers for that.